Welcome to the Bro Force Squad podcast. I am Brian Banner alongside Jeff Hornacek, and we just returned from Kung Lung, being very unsuccessful in being chosen to receive the power of the Iron Fist.
Bullshit.
This is our Iron Fist season review full of spoilers. So let's Kung Fu kick right into this. Jeff, how do you feel after watching the first season of Marvel's Iron Fist?
I feel something that my girlfriend has never felt with me, and that is satisfied. How about you, Banner?
Yeah, I could say that. It's kind of a middle of the pack show for me. I mean, there are parts that I loved, parts that I hated. The way that Danny Rand was portrayed was weird. We'll get into that in a little bit. I felt like they kind of shoehorned a couple of characters in, but overall, I mean, I think it did its job getting us to the Defenders.
100%.
So, guys, you guys all know we have criteria that we normally review movies and shows on. We're going to hit a couple of them here. First being acting cast. Hornacek, how do you feel about the acting and the cast of this movie?
This is going to be both sides of the spectrum, because I don't think many people in Iron Fist, as far as the cast, whether it be the periphery or some of the main characters, did just okay. To me, you were either a huge standout, or I felt like I was watching a 6th grade play, and a bad one at that.
Not my rendition of Wizard of Oz.
No, then that was bullshit that they didn't give you the lead. Again, it was almost like the people at Kung Lun were running the play, but we'll get into that a different pod. So I guess let's just start. You want to start with Finn Jones?
Yeah, let's just do the elephant in the room. Fucking sucked.
All right, he was atrocious, and even he was his worst in the finale. I think this guy is
not good.
He has the look of Danny Rand, the physicality. I don't know which of the stunts he was doing, but I think a lot of it you couldn't fake. I think it was him, and he did a great job. But this guy displays emotion horribly. He overacts. His mannerisms and the way that he tries to express Danny's fish out of water mentality just comes across as someone who literally got the script handed to him 30 seconds ago. And the rest of the cast around him, specifically like Colleen and the Meachums, I thought were incredible. Almost to the point where I think they felt guilty because he was so bad. I'd love to get your thoughts on him, because I almost couldn't even watch him in the finale. He was that bad of an actor.
Finn Jones, to me, like the way that he acted, to me it was like, hey, this is a white guy that learned Kung Fu. And that was exactly what he was. He was great at the Kung Fu part, but the discipline and everything else that goes along with learning Kung Fu, he just didn't have in his acting. He was, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but why was Danny Rand portrayed as this whiny little bitch the whole time? He's supposed to be this noble warrior that yes, he stands for the good, and that's what Finn Jones's Danny Rand did, but he was just a whiny bitch the whole time to me. And I think part of the reason that he looks so bad is because Jessica Hedwig as Colleen Wing and Tom Pelphrey and Jessica Strope as Ward and Joy Meacham were so good.
Absolute
it just
home
made
runs.
him look that much worse.
And I think we need to give Jessica Henwick a lot of credit, because she was basically acting with a brick wall in this. And all her as Colleen, and she sold that romance for me. She basically carried his weight. He was like a corpse tied to her back, and she was just dragging him across the finish line.
I mean, that's what happens when you train with the hand. One last thing on acting casting. Well, I guess this is actually story plot. Let's move on to. You have anything else on acting casting?
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say was, so Finn Jones was awful as Iron Fist. Everyone else was incredible, especially David Wenham as Harold Meacham, and of course the two Meachams and Colleen Wing. But Finn Jones sucking as Danny Rand worked in the first couple episodes, because you were like, oh, this guy's a fish out of water. He doesn't really understand how the real world works. By about episode 6 or 7, I was like, no, this guy's just a dog shit actor. I hope that the other actors in the Defenders can still carry him, because this was distracting at times for me. I'll just leave it at that. I think we've buried Finn Jones enough.
Yeah. I mean, if they could recast him at this point, I think they would have. Next category, we're going to talk about story plot. Again, I don't understand why Danny Rand was such a little bitch in this. One thing that really bothered me was they shoehorned Nurse Claire into this so hard. And then, so now she's our one connection between all 4 series. But why did they all of a sudden she was able to pick up the Wolverine little claws and be able to fight? She's this awesome fighter, and then she picks them up in the last episode. Was like, I think these are mine. Come on, really?
Yeah, that was a bit odd. One thing I did like is we'll just kind of go yin and yang here, and yes, that was a completely intended pun because of the kung fu references in this. One thing I really liked was I felt like every episode seemed to have either a nice reveal or a good piece of plot advancement towards the end of the episode. So obviously this is a serialized show where you can binge it, but I still like when they put the effort into, like, they treat it like a show where you need me to come back next week, you know? Even though it's on my Netflix, I can just, and I did just fucking watch like 3 or 4 in a row. But I felt like every episode had a really nice sort of bow on it at the end, whether it was, oh, this is the Meacham's real intentions, or, oh, Colleen's actually part of the Hand, or
Or
oh
who
my
the
gosh.
fuck is Davos? He's
Exactly,
all of a
the
sudden
Davos thing. So I thought they did a really good job at the end of each episode giving you a reason. Like, okay, if there were times where the episode would be slow, but they would make up for it at the end, and I always appreciate that with shows, but even more with ones where they know that it's in a format you can binge it. They don't have to tickle your balls for you to come back. Because you just, like, it's not like you have to wait a week to get you back on the hook. I did appreciate that. That was one thing that I really liked about this.
Yeah, I agree. That was one thing that I think they did much better than, say, a Jessica Jones, where that one you can only watch 1, maybe 2 in a row before you got to take it back and then revisit it a couple days later or even the next day. One other aspect of the story that I actually really liked was just the story of Rand Enterprises in general, and Danny coming back and not understanding how the world worked. Even with his bad acting and all his other intentions in defeating the Hand and him being the Iron Fist, just the business aspect of that, of having a brother and sister running this company at such a young age, I thought was very interesting and kind of a nice little different kind of story than what we've seen in some of the other Netflix shows.
One thing I really like too, first off, the tough thing with these Netflix shows, it's like, well, it exists in the bigger Marvel universe, obviously. So how do we keep it confined and not have it be like, well, like, why isn't this on the news or something? So the framing device of having it be basically focused on Rand Enterprises was a good way to do that. Another thing that I liked, which I was kicking myself for, because initially I really wanted the first couple episodes to actually be his origin story. Like, show me in real time the plane crash and him go to Kunlun. But the way that they told it kind of retroactively throughout the show actually worked way better than my original idea, and just reaffirms why I don't fucking make TV shows or movies, because I was wrong about that.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked an entire episode of him training at Kunlun, but and they tickled our balls with the plane crash the entire fucking season. But it did work the way that they went back and they did it. They showed us these little snippets of him becoming the Iron Fist, which I thought was really cool. Now, piggybacking on something you just said, our next category, impact on the greater MCU and the future Netflix shows. Jeff, how do you think that Iron Fist fits into the MCU as a whole, and more specifically, the other 3 Netflix shows, obviously leading up to the Defenders show, which we know comes out sometime next year?
So this is a tough one, and you and I had been texting about this in between all of the gifts that we send each other periodically, about how this will set up the Defenders, because obviously that is the next Marvel Netflix show. I'm really unsure. I mean, at this point, if you said, Jeff, you need to bet your mother's life, and if you're wrong, she dies, I would probably say the Hand is the villain in the Netflix show. I don't know whether that's Gao's hand or Bakuto's hand, or I don't even know if that's the same fucking hand, and they've actually just been bullshitting Danny Rand this whole time, and like, who knows? That whole thing could have been a charade. As far as the greater MCU, really just peripheral references, you know, like the Incident and the Hulk, and then there was actually a cool thing I saw today. I think.
Did you see the Stan Lee poster in the background? I think it was in the last episode, maybe episode 12.
No, I didn't.
He was on like a billboard in the background. I caught it real fast.
That's awesome. But there was actually a shot in the very last episode of kind of a train coming from the Empire State Building. And that exact shot is in the trailer of Spider-Man Homecoming, and you learn that Peter Parker's apartment is literally 20 feet from it.
That's kind of cool.
Really minor thing, but that was kind of cool. But again, I don't know where the Defenders is going. I think at this point all the Defenders are in such different corners of even the Netflix universe that it's going to be... I'm worried like I think you are, that we're going to spend 5 fucking episodes just getting them all in the same room. But this worked for me as an isolated show. I did not fall into the Iron Man 2 trap of, hey, let's just have this set up the Defenders. I didn't think. What did you think?
I think that it didn't. I would have liked it falling somewhere in the middle of where it fell and the Iron Man 2 trap of, hey, this movie is only here to set up the Avengers. Somewhere in the middle where we had a little bit more connections rather than just Nurse Claire, Claire Temple. The way that it ended with Kung Lung being gone, okay, so did the past close now? Did the hand steal it somehow?
Did they throw it in reverse and like, we're backing up, like, and just move away? Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. Is Davos going to end up being a bad guy? Because we know that he's the Steel Serpent. Yeah. Later on, if you're a fan of the comics, you know that's who he is. Could he end up being the bad guy or even a bad guy with the Defenders? And then again, having him bringing all the Defenders together is just going to be such a chore. They're either going to be doing it super fast and do it in like an episode and a half, and it's just going to be like forced, or like you said, it's going to take us 5 of the 8 episodes, and it's going to be too drawn out. And I don't know how they're going to be able to balance that out very well.
That scene at the end, what was your interpretation? Is Gal working with Davos? Are they having sex and she's like, he's helping her out? Does she have him mind controlled, or was she just at that cafe because she likes the chai latte?
Your guess is as good as mine. Yeah. I have no idea. I was so puzzled by that.
Of all of those, do you think them having sex is the most likely?
I mean, it's definitely has higher probability than the chai tea, because we all know the chai tea is terrible there.
That's true, especially since Devin got behind the counter and started working.
Dude, he's such a fucking prick.
Anyway, that's another pod altogether.
That's pretty much what it is. Real quick, last thought. If you had to grade this, Jeff, what would you give this as a grade?
I would give this a 7 out of 10. We all saw the Rotten Tomato shitfest that was here, and I think as someone who loves DC and Marvel, I've sort of kind of learned that critics are not the best barometer of whether any comic book show or movie is good or not, because I didn't trust them for BVS, and I didn't trust them for Iron Fist. Is this the best show on television? No. Is it the best Marvel Netflix show? No, not even really close, but this is better than half the shit that's on TV. And if people think that it deserves a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, then, I mean, all due respect, but we just have totally different ideas of what's enjoyable to watch. Banner, what'd you think?
Yeah, I gave this a 6.5 out of 10. There are parts of it that I loved, parts of it that I didn't love. I think it's better than Luke Cage, but not as good as Jessica Jones, and definitely not as good as Daredevil. I think if Danny Rand had been recast, that would have helped it a lot. But he definitely brought it down. But 6.5 out of 10, not great, but not the best either. If I had to pick between other things, I would watch them before this, but I would also watch this before a lot of other things.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was our review of the latest Netflix show, Marvel's Iron Fist. You guys can check us out on Facebook, Broforce Squad, 3 words. iTunes, leave us a review. You guys can also find us on Twitter at Broforce Squad. On YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And as always, you guys can get links to all of those places at www.broforcesquad.com. Till next time, I'm Brian Banner. For Jeff Hornacek, we out.
Let's go do karate in the garage.
Oh, dude, I'll fuck some people up.